What's poppin', ladies and gentlemen? SaberWolf94, bringing you guys Pokemon sets from past formats, and in my opinion, this set might be actually the strongest set of all time. It's definitely the strongest set in the DP era, and that is, of course, motherfucking Stormfront, Diamond and Pearl Stormfront. So this is the last true Diamond and Pearl set before the Platinum stuff, pure Diamond and Pearl, I guess you can call it. After this, we got the Platinum sets, the SP sets, uh, Platinum, Rise and Rivals, Supreme Victors, and Arceus. I'm pretty sure there are four. So yeah, this is the last set of the 2008 format, and it really is possibly the strongest. I mean, it's definitely the strongest Diamond and Pearl set, and it might be the strongest set of all time for me because of its impact and all the broken cards this set has. I mean, this set, if you were to remove this set from the format back then, it would turn everything upside down. I mean, SP Pokemon were already like very fucking dominant, but if you were to remove this set, it'd probably be even 10 times worse or some shit. So yeah, very, very strong set. We're gonna cover the cards. I really don't know where to begin, but we have to begin with something. So the reason this set is so broken is because it has a lot of powerful Pokemon. Like, just from this set has the many relevant attackers and Pokemon that were in main decks for those formats. So I guess let's start with the most revolutionary card maybe from this set. This was Gyarados. So Gyarados, uh, as you guys can see, this is a pretty big Pokemon, a stage 1 Pokemon, 130 HP. That was pretty good. That was the best you could ask for, really. Uh, Excluding things like Blissey and Wailord and stuff like that. Gyarados, because it's a stage 1 Pokemon, but because it's like supposed to be one of the bigger guys, the strongest Pokemon around and shit, has a lot of HP. So in this case, 130 HP from the shitty Magikarp update is great. It's got a fire resistance, which was pretty good, a lightning weakness, which was troublesome when Luxray was really popular, but it didn't stop this Pokemon from being amazing. This Pokemon was really revolutionary because it was basically you never really we had never really had a deck that played like this Gyarados deck, where you didn't really attack in the beginning. You were focusing on setting up uh, your Magikarps in the discard pile, and then you would leave one, evolve it into Gyarados, then you would recycle another one when this Gyarados died, and evolve it again with Pokemon Rescue and these sort of tactics, basically to do shitloads of damage for no energy. This deck didn't run any energies, so it had a lot of room for techs, a lot of room for consistency, and it wasn't the most conventional kind of decks back then and even now, but it was definitely powerful. If you did things right, Gyarados was going to do 90 damage for free. Like, he didn't even need any energy, and that was pretty powerful. You put an extra bell on this dude when that card was released. Gyarados could knock things like Garchomp and Luxray G level X, 110 HP SP level X Pokemon with no problems. And it was really powerful, had great recovery. It was just an amazing deck. And really, Stormfront, that's the special thing about this set. It has so many attackers that worked, I mean, so differently and so amazingly in pretty fucked up ways, but good ways. Like the next card that was really crazy was Machamp. This card, even if this card was released right now with an effect like this, it might have been banned, honestly. So this Pokemon was, fuck, I mean, very popular as well, especially like in places like the UK, from what I remember. In Europe, maybe. This was all over the place, Machamp, with its attack takeout. So this stage 1 Pokemon, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, Rage, I guess it's a decent attack if you have a lot of damage counters, but, you know, there were better Pokemon. But the main reason you would use this Pokemon was for takeout. So this does 1 for 40. Not bad, not bad. But the fucked up thing is that if the defending Pokemon isn't an evolved Pokemon, it's a basic Pokemon, it is immediately knocked out. So think about all the SP Pokemon and all the great basic Pokemon back then. Like, man, fuck. All those SP Pokemon, all these techs like Uxie, fucking shit. I can't think of a Pokemon right now, but a lot of basic Pokemon, any basic Pokemon basically, they would die in one hit with this. It doesn't matter how much HP they've got, they're gonna die. Even if there's something like Regigigas, all that HP, they're gonna be dead. So this was very powerful. This was the most dangerous like tech against SP Pokemon. If they didn't have Unknown G or another way to stop this dude, they were gonna die in one hit, and it made it really hard for them. Now, of course, it wasn't enough for this Pokemon to sort of make them not be so popular and so powerful, but it was definitely something that they feared. If you were playing an SP deck with this dude, you had a pretty good chance of winning a lot of the times. Now, when it lost Claydol, it got really slower, and it wasn't that. It wasn't like a super competitive deck that had a great chance against everything. It was just an anti-meta tech Pokemon against this P, which were really popular. When the Machamp from Triumphant came out, it got a little better because it could use that Pokemon as an actual attacker against other decks. But this dude was, man, have you ever seen an attack like this with Tech At where it just knocks out anything? I mean, if we had this right now with the EX Pokemon and GX Pokemon, would have been busted. He's just crazy good, man, Machamp. Uh, Definitely another Pokemon that was kind of revolutionary in a way. Next up, and man, these guys are next to each other. Gengar. Since you're next to them, might as well talk about them. So this is also a pretty fucked up, amazing card. Gengar. This might be the strongest card, Gengar card, in my opinion, because it's just everything about it is just great. 110 HP is not the greatest for the DP era, but it was a thing. A lot of Pokemon did have this sort of a more frail HP when they had Free Retreat and other good stuff, which this Gengar does. I mean, it has Free Retreat, the colorless resistance is great, and the Poke Power and the attacks are also bloody amazing. So, Feigning Spell, if this Pokemon gets knocked out by an attack, you can flip a coin, and if heads, the Pokemon that killed this dude dies as well. So maybe you guys know of Chandelure from Phantom Forces. This is basically the original effect of that Pokemon, where when it dies, you flip a coin. If heads, it dies too. This is very good because no matter what, if you just have a little luck on your side, you know, getting knocked out when you knock out a Pokemon, like basically in your own turn when you die, it's a pretty significant thing. Like maybe just one heads of this dude, and it will be enough to basically sway the game in your favor, pretty much win. So this was already very powerful. Of course, there were ways to get around this with poison, and I think it has to be active. Uh, Not really. I mean, it doesn't say it has to be active, but it was pretty powerful. You guys know, it's one of those hacks things are just too good when you get heads, and the other attacks are very very good as well. So Shadow Room, you put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. That is basically 3 for 1, but if it has any Poke Powers, you put 6 instead. So not only does this act kind of like a snipe, since you can target Pokemon on the bench too. Uh, Poke Powers were really prevalent back then, hence all the Poke Power Lock, all the Power Lock and shit that was happening because there were a lot of great Poke Powers. Consistency was based on Poke Powers. People really relied on Uxies and Claydols and things of that nature to set up, not so much as supporters. Even when Professor Oak's new theory came out, a lot of people didn't really run that card a lot, if at all. I mean, until the fucking Yuta Kamatsuda won Worlds and people realized, but putting 3 damage counters is okay, okay? And with the Poke Powers, being able to hit the Pokemon with Poke Powers and put 6 is even better. It's 1 for 60. So, very, very good attack. There's nothing much I can say about this. And then Poltergeist, you look at your opponent's hand, you do 30 damage times the number of trainer, supporter, and stadium cards. So another very, very good attack. This might have been the crazy attack on this dude because this was used, this was basically the premise in Trainer Lock decks when Vileplume came out and shit, because you were going to do a lot of damage for only 2 energies. So trainers, supporters, and stadium cards, that's basically all the non-Pokemon, non-energy cards. It's not like items, it's not like it's everything. So if you had some sort of lock going, trainer lock basically, it was the more realistic option. There was no supporter lock, maybe stadium lock with Dialga. But if your opponent had a bunch of stuck trainer cards in hand, it was going to do fucked up crazy damage. Like with only 3, you do 90 for 2. That's already good. And on average, you could do like 120 no problems if you knew what you were doing. That is very powerful. It's going to knock out a lot of things, like Gyarados and other Pokemon. And it's really good. I mean, if you get even more than that stuck, then basically everything is going to die in one hit. And the good thing is that this Pokemon was really fast. I mean, you could put 1 energy on, use Shadow Room, start doing damage this way, and then put another one. You're ready for Poltergeist. You were gonna do fuckloads of damage easily, quickly. You had Feign and Spell as well. A very, very good Pokemon. This was when Stormfront came out. This, along with Dusk Lures from this set, they were the best Pokemon. They were really powerful. Unknown G was probably at its best during those times because uh, both those Pokemon did crazy good damage, but they did it in the form of an effect. So Unknown G stops this dude with Shadow Room, and I believe it doesn't stop Poltergeist. I think maybe I don't remember. I actually have to look at the rulings, but it definitely stops Shadow Room, and that was pretty important. Even so, and later on, I mean, with the SP Pokemon came out, it was still kind of a good Pokemon, but it was kind of used as a tech attacker in Curse-Scar. And then when Vileplume came out in Undaunted, this Pokemon was a star again. You would bring out Vileplume, lock your opponent's trainers, and this guy was going to do a lot of damage for free, basically. You had the level X option to an Arceus. Very, very good Pokemon. It was probably the best non-SP deck of that time. Alright, spent enough time on Gengar, but this definitely is probably the best Gengar card. Now, since I mentioned the Dusk Lures, might as well talk about them. There's 2 Dusk Lure cards in here, actually 3 with a level X, and they're both really good. So this is the rare hollow one, the first card in this set as well, and it's got good shit too. So 120 HP, a 3 retreat, not the greatest, but it's a big guy. The 20 to colorless resistance is good as well. With Shadow Command, you could draw 2 cards. If you had 7 or more cards, you discard any number of cards until you have 6, and then you put 2 damage counters on Dusk Lure. So maybe it sounds kind of complicated when I read it fast like that, but basically this guy let you draw cards for free. And it was good draw, to be honest. It was straight draw, and you were going to discard cards until you had 6, basically. So it gave you a limit, but you still draw cards. And it had perfect synergy with its attacks. You put 2 damage counters to do this, but damage even. You count the number of damage counters of Dusk Lure, and you put that many on the defending Pokemon. So it kind of acts like a rage attack, maybe, like a flail attack, that when you have a lot of damage counters, you do that damage, but you have more control of it. So if your opponent isn't attacking, you can just use Shadow Command, do that kind of shit, and you're going to do damage anyway while drawing cards. And Night Spin, you prevent all effects of an attack, including damage done to Dusk Lure by your opponent's Pokemon that has 2 or less energy attached to it. So this was also something, it acted like Mr. Mime's Pokebody, yeah, where Pokemon that didn't have a lot of energy couldn't do shit on Dusk Lure, and there were a lot of Pokemon like that back then. The limit is by your opponent's Pokemon that has 2 or less, so yeah, they needed to have 3. So that's some big shit, man. 50 wasn't the greatest, but you guys can see this is like a stun kind of slow kill Pokemon that disrupts your opponent, makes it hard for them, and then kills you. And we also had another Dusk Lure card anyway, if you want it. All of the Dusk Lure cards in Diamond and Pearl were great too. It was these two guys, and then the one in Diamond and Pearl was also great. So this is more of an offensive one, you could say. Uh, 120 HP, the colorless resistance to. It's got one less retreat cost as well. This is the regular rare one, but it's still pretty good. They actually didn't make it inferior to the rare hollow one. With Spirit Pulse, as long as Dusknoir is your active Pokemon, you put 1 damage card on each of your opponent's Pokemon that has any energy attached to it. So the energy limitation can't be a rough condition, but you're still probably gonna put 3 damage counters on some of your opponent's Pokemon, and that's pretty good. And Darkness Mist, if the defending Pokemon had already 2 or more damage counters on, this was going to do 80 damage for 3. Double Colorless compatible when that came out too. I mean, I guess it wasn't that relevant back when Heart Gold, Soul Silver came out. But this is definitely a solid Pokemon. You can kind of use it if you want a better Dusknoir attacker. And I guess we should talk about Dusknoir level X since I talked about these guys now. Dusknoir does get a level X in this set, and it's also one of the weirder ones. It gives it a 20 HP upgrade. It's alright, I suppose. And it only gets a Pokepower Ectoplasm. So, from what I remember, basically this transforms into a stadium. But let's see, if Dusknoir is your active Pokemon, it would be knocked out by damage from an attack. You can discard all cards. And yeah, put it as a stadium card instead of discarding it. Your opponent still is going to grab a prize. And as long as this dude acts like a stadium card, you put 1 damage card on each of your opponent's Pokemon. And if another stadium card comes out, or is discarded by the effects of attacks, you return it to the hand. So I guess you can recycle them. Pretty good. But if you did this, and this guy became a stadium, even if for 1 turn, your opponent was going to get 1 damage card on everybody once. So it wasn't bad. And you grab the guy back in the hand. So pretty solid card as well. Was going to give you that extra damage with Dusknoir. The HP upgrade too. Good level X. The level X in this set are good, but perhaps they didn't really last. It's not really surprising. When Platinum came out and the SP shit came out, things got even crazier. But we definitely have some good SP cards. Raichu here. I like this card. This was one of the dudes that could attack twice. It's all this variety, man. All these variety of effects and power in Stormfront that make it such a great set. So Link Lightning, once during your turn when you put Raichu level X onto Raichu and use Voltage Shoot, you may use another attack of Raichu afterward. So this basically can attack twice. And Voltage Shoot, you discard 2 Lightning Energy cards from your hand and choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. So at 80 damage snipe, basically. Not bad. Free Retreat, I guess it had a solid HP upgrade too. Very, very nice. Raichu card. Pretty good. Regigigas, this might be the strongest card in here. This was a pretty solid deck for a while too. You use this dude with Regigigas, of course, and the other Regis, and you kind of had a tank deck going here. So this guy, 150 HP. This is only a level X on a basic Pokemon, so it's really good on the HP part. And you had Sacrifice. Once during your turn, you could choose one of your Pokemon and knock it out. Then you search your discard pile for up to 2 energy cards, attach them to Regigigas, and remove 2 damage counters from Regigigas. So yeah, you were going to sacrifice your Peon guys to heal this dude, mass heal this dude, and grab 3 energies for free for Giga Blaster. You discard the top card of your opponent's deck, then you choose one of your opponent's hand without looking and discard it. Regigigas does 100 damage. It can't use Giga Blaster next turn. Okay, so it doesn't help with this attack. But I'm pretty sure Regigigas has an attack where it discards energy. Maybe. I mean, either way, you're going to power him up. So, right. It needs water, fighting, and metal to use this attack. It's basically the types of Regirock, Regirise, Register, so it has that nice theme going. Right. Pretty good Pokemon. It got a lot of support when Triumphant came out as well. A lot of cards that helped it. Of course, it wasn't enough to overthrow things like Luxchamp, but it's not bad. And next we got Heatran and Machamp. These are probably the weakest guys. This I think was pretty good as well. With Heat Metal, your opponent can't remove the burn special condition no matter what. And when your opponent flips a coin for burn, it's always tails. So they're always going to get the damage and they can't remove the condition by evolving and shit. And Heat Wave, once at the end of your turn, if Heatran is on your bench, if you discard a fire energy is attached to your fire metal Pokemon, you can attach up to 2 of them. So it acts like a burn energy, kind of. Pretty good. Heatran wasn't that bad, I guess, during those times as well. This card helped it a lot. The one in Legends Awakened. We got the secret rares too, as you guys can see. If you need any proof that this set is the best, it has the Charizard line from base set remade. This is a secret rare Charizard. It basically acts like the base set Charizard, 120 HP, Final Resistance, Fire Spin. It's got the Poke Body. All energies are fire. Yeah, it's not as good as, of course. I mean, it was never good, but at least in here, it's kind of uh, more realistic, maybe. You didn't have all the crazy stuff going in base set. Maybe you could use a stage 2 Pokemon. Charmeleon, Charmander. And then you got the other secret rares, the shiny cards. Drifloon, Duskull, and Voltorb. Good stuff, good stuff. Machamp, I guess I'll talk about this dude as well. Uh, Machamp had this guy, I guess, but he's not that good. As long as Machamp is your active Pokemon, each of Machamp's attacks do 60 more damage. And any damage done to this dude is increased by 60 as well. So, yeah. He was going to do a lot of damage, but then get hit back with a lot of damage. And strong-willed, if Machamp was going to be knocked out, you flip a coin, if heads, Machamp survives. So I guess with the effect, it's going to do 80 for 3 with this attack, but it's not that good. It would. I guess you could use it as an upgrade for the HP, but yeah, Machamp was used. The one here was used as a tech, really. We got some good trainers in here too. This set had the Luxury Ball, which was basically like the Master Ball back then. This grabs any Pokemon besides the level X, but you can only play one of these. If you play another one while there's another one in the discard pile, you can't use it. Doesn't do anything, but a pretty good one-up of every deck. We had cards like Pokeblower, Pokedrawer. You play a bunch of these at once. This is going to do more damage. This is going to let you draw cards. And they got Premier Ball, Reprint, good card as well from Great Encounters. And we had Cyclone and Warp Energy. These were nice cards too. I think this might be the first time we saw these cards in DP. Yeah, we did have them in the EX series, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Cyclone Energy, you attach this to your active Pokemon and you switch one of the defending Pokemon, one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it acts like a Warp Point to your opponent. And a Warp Energy, when you attach this to your active Pokemon, you can switch it. So good shit, good shit. Expert type of special energy cards, you kind of need to know how to use them to make the best of them. But they're great cards in the right hands. So we covered the most important stuff maybe, but there's a lot of great cards like I've said. Like for example, the Gengar line was pretty good because the Ghastly in here was great too. You open with this dude, you use Pitch Dark, you don't need an energy to use this attack, and you immediately lock your opponent from trainers. So yeah, this is like a mini Seismitoad EX that doesn't need an energy to do the attack. So pretty good. Great art as well. What else? What else? We got a lot of shit. We've got, oh my god, this fucker here. This guy was, this might be like actually the worst fucker from this set. The strongest Pokemon maybe. Very, very powerful Pokemon mini dude. This guy with Overeager. You were gonna play first automatically. So what this means, you can use Impersonate, which is your free attack. You search your deck for a supporter and discard it, and then use that effect. So what you would do is you would use disruption guys like Cyrus's Initiative or maybe Judge to fuck with your opponent's hand, make it even harder for them to do shit in the beginning. Or if they had a weak Pokemon out, you were going to use Overconfident with a special dark. I think Pokemon that had 60 HP were basically dead. Yeah, you just needed to play a Crobat drop or some shit, and then you use Overconfident. Was going to knock the Pokemon out. It basically does 40 damage for one if the defending Pokemon has fewer remaining HP than Sableye. You know, with the special dark, it's going to be 52. So it's solid damage, man, in the beginning. First turn, basic Pokemon. Didn't have a weakness. Colorless resistance. Could have been handy, I guess. This was a bitch-ass Pokemon, to be honest. I hated this guy. It was pretty good, though. And Gyarados decks might have used this. You could use this with SP Pokemon like Garchomp and Blaziken and other SP Pokemon, and you had a pretty disruptive, fast deck with all Pokemon could attack quickly, do shit, or disrupt. Really nasty stuff, man. Actually, this might have ended up being the best deck. At least it won nationals in the US. I know that much, but yeah, it's a pretty nasty deck. Sableye. Look at all the crazy Pokemon, man. It's just these were all top class Pokemon, and they weren't just good Pokemon like other sets. These were top class Pokemon. We got Electrode for my TCG overview. Yeah. And basically all of the Pokemon here that might have had other prints in this era, they probably had their best card in here. Like this dude with Radiance. Every time this guy's damaged, 1 damage control of your opponent's Pokemon. 90 HP stage 1 free retreat. It wasn't that bad. And you use low current. If it was damaged the previous turn, it was going to instantly paralyze the opponent. Good shit, man. Good shit. Of course, we had Bibarel. Before Donphan, this was the first Pokemon that could do like straight 2 for 60, no costs, no conditions. Wasn't bad. Unaware, you prevent all effects of attacks, excluding damage done to Bibarel, so didn't care about effects. And Amnesia, that also can be kind of handy. It does 20 for 2, and you choose an opponent's, the defending Pokemon's attacks, and they can't use that attack. So if they only had one attack, you were going to lock them. If they didn't switch or do some shit, you might have been pretty good. There's just so much, man, I could talk about. Of course, I'm going to mention Salamence, my favorite card from this set. Good old Salamence, my favorite Pokemon. So this might be like one of the strongest Salamence cards of all time. The second strongest if you go by my top 10, I guess. Yeah, spoilers. With Battle Rush, if your opponent had a Pokemon that had 120 HP or more, you ignored the colorless energy costs on Salamence, so you could do Combustion, 1 for 50, and Steam Twister, 2 for 120. You still had to discard a Water and a Fire, but it was pretty good. 140 HP, big guy, final resistance, really, really good. We had the level X option in Arceus too, and a bunch of other, I guess you could say, decent Salamences. We could use the Memory Berry strategy too, with the Bagon in Secret Wonders. Good stuff. Unfortunately, this card didn't really manage to do much, thanks to fucking Garchomp C level X. Thanks to fucking DCE actually, but yeah. Too bad. And you got Cherim too. Another great card, man. Great Pokemon. You bring this guy out with Sunny Day, your Fire and Grass Pokemon are going to do 10 extra damage for free. So, think of the Lurantis we've got right now. This is like the OG version. And yeah, I think both cards can power up Fire too. You also got a first attack, Salty Sweet Pollen. Can do it for free. So it's actually, you can use this as an attacker too. It's going to do 1 for 30, 0 for 30 actually in the beginning. And then you remove 2 damage counters from one of your Pokemon. So it's not just a support Pokemon. It can actually will be able to attack if you have a bunch of these. You're gonna do some good damage for no energy. Really, really good, man. Really, really good, man. Abomasnow, cool Pokemon as well. It's gonna block 20 damage if it's active to all of your Pokemon. Snowplay, it's gonna do 20 spread to everybody besides grass and water Pokemon below 0. If it evolved, it was gonna instantly paralyze and do 60. Good stuff. There was a deck with this guy and shit, what's it called? Ampharos from Platinum, like a lock deck. This guy could be used with Gengar too, as a backup dude from this set. Got Sceptile. This Pokemon was very good, but it has a good ability. Energy Trance. You move basically the grass energies around any way you like, kind of like a Aromatisse. The same as Aromatisse, basically. Unfortunately, during those times, we didn't really have any mass healing cards or cards like AZ and shit, so you couldn't really take advantage of this the best. It's too bad. It's too bad. We got the Regigigas here. Magnezone. Magnezone cards were decent as well. You had the Metal Magnezone here. Wasn't bad. You could search your deck for a Lightning or Metal Pokemon, put it into your hand, and his attacks are decent too. Crush Volt, 3 for 80, discard an energy, and you had the level X options too. This guy attacks and switches, and it actually grabs a Lightning or Metal energy from the discard pile and attaches it. So kind of like Metagross GX. So energy acceleration, and with Gyro Ball, you're gonna do the hit and switch strategy too. Pretty nice. So yeah, this set was just, it was good shit, man. It was, got Infernape, can do 60 for 1 DC. I think, no, it's another Torterra that can do this maybe. No, this one does it as well. With 1 DC, you're gonna do 60. You do 20 to yourself, but yeah. This set had the Sinnoh starters with their different types, like with Empoleon being metal, Infernape being fighting, and, well, Torterra being fighting too. Weren't that good, but they were good for the time. It's just they didn't really stand the time. But I think I covered everything. I might have done it kind of hastily because I don't want this to be super long, even though it might be anyway. But yeah, this set is just rich with amazing cards. And cards like Gyarados, Gengar, Machamp, they were just good forever, man. They were just, for as long as they were around, they were good ass cards that were like some of the only Pokemon that could compete with the likes of Luxray and Garchomp, basically. Vespiquen, this one too, isn't that bad. Scizor as well, I think, isn't that bad. It's just good shit, man. The Striflimp too. Yeah, I guess I'm not talking about them, but I know they should be decent. And the cards I talked about already, they were just great. You had a lot of great trainers too, so yeah, this might be like the strongest set of all time for me. From the Diamond and Pearl sets, it definitely was for sure. It was crazy, crazy good, man. The Pokemon it offered. I probably said that a billion times. But maybe I shouldn't drag this forever. This is the last Diamond and Pearl set. We covered everything else. The only thing that's left now is Undaunted, and I'm going to be done with sets from past formats for the 4th generation. I don't think I meant for this to leave it like to be one of the last ones, but maybe it worked out this way because this is definitely one of the best ones. So we saved the best for last kind of shit. Very, very, very good. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys subscribe. Leave a like. Share this with your friends. Hope you guys enjoyed the review for Stormfront. One of the greatest sets. One of the greatest sets. But I'm going to do the Undaunted, and then I'm going to have to think of something else. I like doing these sets reviews, but we need sets to review. And yeah.